You are just an old man, though, aren't you, Rory? This is the social here on talkSPORT 2 with me, Olly Clink, alongside Mr. Rory Jennings. Now, Manchester United also dumped out of the FA Cup yesterday by Fulham on penalties. And after the game, Wayne Rooney was a pundit, of course, excellent, brilliant Manchester United player, the record goal scorer as well. He had a say about the manager, Rory, Ruben Amorim. He was talking about Amorim's comments when he said that that Manchester United's goal is to win the Premier League. And Rooney called it a bit naive. And he started to say, you know, come on, look at the situation. You're 14th in the league. You can't really buy a win at the moment. You're out of the FA Cup. Your season's absolutely hinging on the Europa League. You know, is it the right time to be like, yeah, we want to win the Premier League? We absolutely do. What do you make of that, firstly, of Rooney calling it naive?
Overall, Rooney's right. Rooney's completely correct. You can't talk about winning the league when you're languishing in the relegation scrap. Like, you're having one of the worst seasons that I can remember for Manchester United. This is the worst Manchester United team of my lifetime, potentially ever. They're a club in total disarray. I believe, I do recognise the institution that is Manchester United. I know what the ambition should be. The ambition should be to win the league every season. But the reality of it is they're nowhere near that, and Rooney is correct. It is naive to talk about winning the league when you're struggling to get above sides like Crystal Palace in the Premier League.
This is what Amorim had to say about Rooney's comments after the game yesterday.
No, that is the goal. Be naive is to think that we are going to do this season or are going to be the best contender for the next season. So I know that is in this moment everybody knows everything. So I know that, and this is really easy. I was a pundit when I finished my career, so I know it's really easy. Our goal is to win the Premier League. Maybe it's not with me, but our goal as a club, the board, is winning the Premier League like we did in the past with all the great glories and the legends of this club. And we want to do better, and we know that we are in the difficult moment. And I'm not naive. That's why I'm here coaching at 40 years old, the Manchester United.
Yeah, so not backing down really there, Amorim. Joining us now is talkSPORT's very own Angelina Kelly, star of Inside Devils. How you doing, Angelina? You right?
I like the star. Can we if Alex Crook tries to question that or flex, I am the star. Thank you.
You heard it here first,
yes.
Basically. Yeah. I mean, you have to be the star if you're on with Crookie and Flex.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I'm joking, of course. They're all brilliant and it's a great show. What do you think about Rooney's comments saying that Amorim is a bit naive to go, no, this is the goal. We are going to win the Premier League someday. This is going to happen.
You know what? I get what Rory's saying, but I just feel like he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. I feel like the second that Amorim says we're not focused on the Premier League or something like that, somebody will then start to say, oh, well, you know what? What's his plan then? What's he doing with Manchester United? Man United's one of the biggest clubs in the world. You should be focused on winning. That should be the goal. So I feel like whatever he says, people can always poke holes in it. I get that this is a horrendous season for Manchester United, but it's not like he's saying I'm going to win it next season. It's not like he's like the powers that be saying they're going to win it in 2028 or something. He's just saying that the way that this club is built, this club does have that ambition. I was more here for the little jibe at Rooney, to be honest.
I enjoyed it
as
well, though, Angelina.
Do you think?
Yeah, well, Wayne Rooney is a Manchester United legend, the best player to have played for the club, arguably, the record goal scorer of Manchester United and a true Premier League icon. To come out and be a little bit sneery about saying how easy it is to be to be a pundit, I don't think it's necessary. Effectively, he doesn't need to do this. There's enough going on for Amorim. He doesn't need to be effectively declaring war and starting an issue with Wayne Rooney.
I think, though, and we've talked about this on Inside Devils, that it seems like former Man United players have all got something to say. And I understand they've got something to say. Roy Keane is slagging off Bruno Fernandes, saying he's not a good enough captain. Gary Neville's got something to say. Wayne Rooney's got something to say. Rio, Paul, etc. Totally understand it, but we were debating, when is it kind of not helpful? Are they allowed to say whatever they want to say whenever they feel like it, or should they maybe pull back a little bit? I don't know.
The thing is, though, going back to Amorim as well, I do also think there has been times this season where he hasn't helped himself. And I actually think that the comment about wanting to win the Premier League is the least naive out of some of the ones that he has said. I mean, I'll read you some examples. He said, I'm not helping my players at the moment. He said, David Moyes is doing a better job than me. He said, I have to sell my idea. I don't have another one. I mean, how worrying is that as something to say? Do you sometimes feel that he's too honest as a manager?
Yeah, I think that there have been situations where you have someone like Ten Hag who spoke with a lot of delusion, and he was talking about fairy tales and myths and all that stuff. And then we've got somebody like Amorim who's come in who is very different to Ten Hag, and I think it's been nice for him to give transparency. Even things like, and maybe it doesn't help, but as a Man United fan, the Garnacho situation being explained to us, little things like that, I do think it's helpful. But I do agree, sometimes he probably needs a little bit of, Man United PR training, although the Man United PR at the minute is horrendous.
He's getting a lot of things wrong, though. When you think about being the Manchester United manager, it's one of the most pressured and coveted seats in world football. It's got to be one of top 3 jobs in world football in terms of being a manager.
Yeah, in terms of size of club,
certainly top 5, right?
Yeah.
Top 5 jobs in world, and I think you can include any job.
Yeah.
The Brazil national team, whatever you want to include, the Manchester United hot seat has got to be one of the most sought after and the pinnacle of the game. When you think about the way that he's conducted himself since he's been in there, I was a big fan of Amorim. I think the appointment is still good, whether it works or not. I still think that the appointment is based on a clear strategy, and it's a progressive appointment, whether it works or not. But it isn't working. He really is getting it wrong. And the more I think it's going well, it's just not. Erik ten Hag, Manchester United, we forget. We talk about them in a state. We talk about them all over the place. We talk about the Erik ten Hag era. When they got launched out of the Cup yesterday, you almost forget that they were the holders. And now they're out of it. Ten Hag got sacked, but he did win the Cup. That's not going to happen for Amorim, and they're lower in the league.
Yeah, do you know what's funny as well, Angelina? I know you brought up the point about the former players seeming every week to have a go at one thing or another, whether it's the job losses off the pitch, whether it's Bruno Fernandes as a captain, like you said, with Roy Keane. But Ruben Amorim is also doing that. He is also saying we're the worst team maybe in Manchester United's history. He compared Marcus Rashford to his 63-year-old goalkeeping coach, saying he doesn't have the same energy level as that person. He said that the club needs a shock. He's talked about massive rebuilds in the summer. How is that instilling confidence in his players when they've also got the Scholesies, the Rios of this world also coming for them in the press? Surely that dressing room is just absolutely devoid of confidence, and that's why we're seeing that on the pitch.
Yeah, it is tough when some of the things that he's coming out with, you've also got the outside pressures, etc. But I just think, this is not his team. This is not a squad that he's picked. These are not his players. And I think sometimes he's stating the obvious. This is one of the worst Man United teams. Marcus Rashford, for whatever people want to have opinions of, it was not working at Manchester United. How many seasons that he looked unbothered, he looked unfussed by things. He's got Rasmus Højlund 150th in the league for shots taken.
My word.
The main dribbler, Garnacho, 86th for take-ons. Onana, 16th for save percentage. I'm not saying that it's players and manager, both are at fault, but I think when you've been dealt this kind of card, you've been given an ultimatum that you have to be there.
But he took the job. He knew what cards he was being dealt.
Yeah, but he took the job.
It was now or never.
Yeah, he took the job. You can't really have a pop at him for that. And let's face it, there are no amount of tactical tweaks. This isn't a Ruben Amorim problem. I think we can highlight a lot of things that are his fault. But there is nothing that a manager can do. Jose Mourinho 05, Carlo Ancelotti 2010. Nobody in the history of management would be able to make Rasmus Højlund a good player. That doesn't exist. That's not managerial responsibility. That's not tactical tweaks. That's this geezer who's playing up front is not a Premier League forward, and I'm lumbered with him because you spent 72 million on him. That's not his fault.
But we have seen managers recently in the Premier League take on squads that are worse than this Manchester United side.
I think Rasmus Højlund is the worst centre-forward Manchester United have ever had in the Premier League era. Well, that bad, genuinely that bad. I've never seen anything like it. And a lot of Manchester United fans, I don't know if you subscribe to this, Angelina, when I say something like that, Manchester United fans do get a hump with me.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. You've got to think for Manchester United, there's been a striker drought for a very, very, very long time, for
Rooney,
years.
Probably.
Yeah, you had
Ibrahimovic.
Rooney. Obviously Van Persie coming in. Since that, it's not really kind of taken off. I always remember Odion Ighalo, who was, that guy.
Does he nick it?
He's better.
No, but he had a lot more passion. He was a lot more likeable, to be completely honest. But I do think you look at Rasmus Højlund, and I think that the way things have gone for him hasn't been helpful. I think that there were other players that Manchester United had pinned. For example, somebody like Mason Greenwood, who for whatever reasons that they moved on from him. But, that was somebody who Man United were looking at. People were expecting Anthony Martial to at least be able to help Rasmus Højlund, but he was, MIA as usual. So I just think, I don't think it's been a struggle for him, but 18 games without scoring, watching the way that he got bullied off the ball against Fulham, and then you see Chido Obi, who is 5 years younger than him, a lot slimmer because he is, a child, actually do a better job with Fulham's defence. It's just not good viewing.
Yeah, I do want to ask you though, right, because we know, like you said there, that Amorim has been, dealt this bad hand, whatever you want to say, the squad is nowhere near the level that he wants. Bearing in mind that there could be a scenario this summer where he doesn't get a huge war chest. He doesn't get to have this big clear out, big rebuild that he's so clearly craving. Is there a chance that actually he is eventually moved on because he's not a manager in the eyes of the ownership that can adapt to the situation and at least try and bring the best out of the players he has at his disposal?
I think if Ineos and the Glazers were to get rid of Ruben Amorim at the end of this season, before the new season starts, they would look, and it's hard to think that they could look more foolish than they already do, but they would look absolutely ridiculous because the whole point that he didn't go to Liverpool, Ruben Amorim, was because, the players that they would have had to have got rid of or brought in, the amount of money that would have cost, how it just didn't work for them. Manchester United, you would like to think, even though these owners do seem pretty, I'm trying to think of a nice word, not with it, let's just say, they're not on their A game with a lot of things and they make a lot of errors. You'd like to think that they know, right, we've made this massive mess here with Erik ten Hag. If we're bringing this guy in, we've got to stick with him and we've got to understand. But this is Ineos I'm talking about, and I would be floored if they got rid of him. But as many Man United fans will say, you wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, at least you get a little banana when you go into work now. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, or soup and sandwich, is it? Or something if you're lucky.
Yeah, mate, soup, I couldn't believe... I saw that about the soup. Yeah. I know, it's like Oliver Twist, man. That's really bad, isn't it?
It's so
really bad.
I mean, I shouldn't really be laughing, actually.
No.
Because, alongside
you're laughing in shock.
In disbelief.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Like, soup, it's kind of like pre-war.
Yeah. It's
like Russians.
Well, that's Carrington training ground, to be fair. If you've ever been, it is very pre-war. It needs a bit of a facelift.
Is it really?
Oh my God.
It's funny, isn't it? In my head, these facilities that exist for Premier League footballers, I feel like everything would be like the Corinthia Hotel in London. Yeah,
no.
I feel like everything is that. Is it not?
Oh, no.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't get invited, weirdly.
You go nowhere near,
Rasmus Højlund, he is the worst place I've ever... Why don't you invite me? Invite me to Carrington.
I'll bring you next time I go.
Angelina, it's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Angelina Kelly there, and do check out Inside Devils. It's a brilliant watch. Angelina is alongside Crookie and Flex as well, who you'll know from this show. They have brilliant guests as well, and they always get stuck into Manchester United. At the moment, it is a moan-a-thon, let's be honest, because of the state of the club, but it is a very compelling watch indeed. Right, next up on the social here on talkSPORT 2, we're going to talk about the season more generally. Is it only that race for the top 5 that's looking exciting? Has this season been slightly underwhelming?
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker.